statement, and then we'll take questions as usual. Please hit the raise your hand function, and please keep your line muted until we called on you. Coach?
Hey, everybody, appreciate y'all being here. Great day for Tennessee football. Obviously, our first spring football game here is a new staff with our players. So appreciative of the fans that came out. Man, had a ton of attendance today. Obviously, with the uncertainty of the weather, they showed out in great fashion and brought a lot of energy to the stadium. I know our players and staff appreciate that. To the VFLs that came back, man, so many guys that came back and were a part of this weekend. With our current players and obviously all the guys have an opportunity to get together, brought a ton of energy just to the program. And, for me, obviously I spoke about it in my introductory press conference, the VFL experience, being able to relate back to experiences and what they've learned, but understanding that this is a Tennessee football family that is together always and forever. Former players and obviously current players as well. Great weekend. I want to mention one guy in particular, just a unique opportunity to get a chance to spend time with Al Wilson, and special year for him being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Obviously, he was one of the greats that have ever played here and played this game. Opportunity to get to know him and who he is and what he's about and what he's giving back to Tennessee football. Great opportunity to spend some time with him. Proud of this team this spring, man. In the short amount of time that we've been here as a coaching staff, the growth that they've shown, the accountability that we're learning how to have every single day, the accountability to themselves, but to each other here is really important. Proud of where we're at and where we have an opportunity to go. A group that's becoming connected, playing for each other, and growing in the right ways. Proud of what they've done here. Obviously, we got a big portion of our off season here coming up as we get into summer conditioning. With that, I'm going to open it up to some questions.
We will start with David Ubben, and then we'll go to Austin Price.
Josh, I was wondering if you could go through individually from Hendon and Brian and Harrison and compare what you saw from them today compared to what you saw from them over the course of the spring.
Tough to do that individually here, just with the rotation of how the game unfolded. To piece together all that, I think would be unfair from my recollection of what they actually accomplished during the course of the game in each drive. I thought this is a total group effort. They've come a long ways in the last 14 days leading up to today. I think, if you break it up, spring ball up into thirds, every 5 practices, man, you've seen exponential growth from all of them in their command of what we're doing, the ability to recognize signals, get lined up, get their eyes, feet in the right place, be accurate with the football. I think the last, 3 or 4 practices have been all of theirs best practice. I thought they played really efficient today. There are a couple times need to get rid of the football maybe a little bit quicker if they're in a real live situation. I think some of that's a little bit tough to judge when you're not live as well. But did a really good job of taking care of the football besides the one pick where Burrell makes a great break on the football and turns it into 6 points and a momentum-changing play right there. But proud of what each of them have done this spring and thought they operated really well today. They all had great composure out there.
Coach, you're now through your first spring. Maybe kind of take me through or take us all through like where you thought you were coming in and maybe where you think you are coming out, more specifically with the skill guys on offense, running backs and receivers. Now you've seen these guys for 15 practices. What's your overall thoughts on those two groups?
Yeah, I thought we had very little understanding of how it is actually going to transcend and how the game's going to be played out. When we first started spring, you go into your first spring scrimmage, they operate and handle some things really well, but there's still a really an uneasiness and not quite comfortable in what you're doing. Today, I thought our skill players probably had their best day as far as operation in command and control and what they're doing, being in the right spot, quarterback and wide receiver being in the same spot, as far as what they're seeing from the defense and being able to sit in holes, run versus man, and be in the right place. I think we're going to continue to get more and more efficient in the pass game as we go through the summer and through training camp. Obviously, got a long ways to go, but you saw some really positive things. You saw guys on the perimeter make some competitive plays, and obviously the game ends with a huge play from Tillman down the sidelines. I think all of those guys are starting to gain a lot of confidence in in what we're doing, but then how they can operate and how they can grow as a player. You've seen Tillman get better every single day. You've seen Bayless Jones get better every single day. Jalen Hyatt, who was out in the early part of spring, just nicked up a little bit, man. The last 2-3 practices has really gained a great grasp of what we're doing. There's some playmakers out there, and we obviously got to continue to develop them. But that group's gotten better. The running back position, we're starting to learn how to play with pad level. They've done a great job of taking care of the football all spring long. They've gotten better in their pass protections. Nowhere near where we need to be, depth at that position, but I think we got an opportunity to continue to grow and develop it.
Mike Wilson and Vince Farrar.
Yeah, Josh, do you expect any movement at the quarterback position with either players coming or going after the spring? And I believe you said at some point you expected a resolution with the Stokely Hall incident by the end of spring. Has that been reached at this point with those guys who were suspended?
Don't have anything final on that situation. As soon as we do have something finalized, you guys will be notified of that. I think the quarterback position, just along with every position inside of on your roster, with the transfer portal and where we're at, you have an opportunity to continue to add guys into your program here as you get, towards the end of this semester and lead into May before you guys are back working out when you start summer workouts.
Josh,
McKee-
any initial?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vince. Yep.
All right. Josh, any early takeaways from your vantage point today before the tape on the line of scrimmage, offensive and defensive lines?
I thought there was some back and forth on that. I thought offensively we're able to get some things going in the middle portion of the game, scrimmage with the run game. I thought, the 1D in particular did some things, changing the line of scrimmage early in the scrimmage today. It's been back and forth. I feel like we're developing some depth on the offensive line, need some depth on the defensive line. We're thin at that position. We got to continue to develop the guys that we got and potentially add some guys there.
Ben McKee, then Jimmy Himes.
Josh, just as you conclude spring practice and build into the summer and work towards fall camp, what's kind of at the top of your to-do list that you would like to see accomplished as you build towards fall camp?
I think it's still the growth and accountability, the ability to do what you're supposed to, when you're supposed to, the way you're supposed to, all the time, not some of it. We've come a long ways in that. We still have a long ways to go. There's accountability to yourself. There's accountability to your teammate. We're learning how to have the locker room be accountable to each other. There's starting to be a sense of ownership from some of our guys inside the locker room that it matters to and understand the standard of what it's going to mean to be a Tennessee football player. We got to continue to connect. We're early in our development there. And when I say that, I'm talking player to player, but I'm also talking coach to player as well as we build who and what the foundation of Tennessee football is going to be. When we get back, when we finish the semester and when we get back, we got to continue to develop ourselves personally as far as the strength and conditioning side of it with our football team. We got to get stronger. We got to develop our speed. We got to develop the ability to bend and play with better pad level. And all of that comes from what we do inside of strength and conditioning. We got to continue to develop there. June and July, the third quarter of our off season is going to be absolutely critical to put ourselves in the right position heading into training camp.
Josh, approximately what percentage of your offensive scheme and your defensive scheme do you think you inserted into the spring?
We got a lot of football left to put in and give our kids, a certain percentage. We're nowhere near, our complete playbook here on either side of it. I thought we did some really good things, fundamentals and technique on the special team side of it, but there's a lot of our scheme that's still got to be implemented there as well.
Gentry Estes and then Gustavo.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, you've talked a lot about positivity, even among your staff, what you've wanted in terms of coaching guys up at practice, that kind of thing. How important did you feel like this approach was to build confidence in players in the program and the circumstances that you inherited here?
I think it's important that you set a clear standard with your players so they know what to expect inside of your building every single day. And then you got to be really clear that you're going to hold that standard true and that there's consequences when you don't things right. At the same time, your interaction with your players has to be consistent, and the message has got to be positive here as we build us all coming together. And it doesn't mean that you're not real with your team. I think that's the exact opposite of it. Because of those relationships, you get a chance to be really true, really real in what you see and where you need to go. And because of the connection that you have with those players, they're going to accept that and understand that you have their best interest at heart. That's on the field and off of it as well.
Coach, how much do you think, today's showcase translate what you guys practice throughout those spring practices?
I think, there's times that, the back half of your spring ball isn't your best half, where your kids aren't as focused. They're trying to remain healthy. Their competitive spirit changes. Really proud of this group because that's the exact opposite. We got better every single day. Our competitive spirit became more and more consistent in how we approached every day, every rep. We got better the last third of spring ball. And, today there was great effort out there. A lot of things that we'll learn from as well. But our kids are excited about what we're doing on and off the field. I think they believe in each other and believe in this coaching staff. It gives us an opportunity to continue to grow as we go through this summer.
Rob Lewis, then Nicholas Hill.
Coach, are you leaving spring practice with any kind of a pecking order at quarterback, do you think, or is it just wide open going into the summer?
Yeah, it's wide open. I've been through enough quarterback battles as a player or as a coach to know that there's so much time as you leave spring ball. We've had 15 practices. We're going to have a lot more than that when we get to training camp. But they get a chance to sit back now and kind of redigest everything that's gone on this spring. Get a chance to go through some installs this summer. They get a chance to coach it, own it a little bit on their own. They get a chance to learn from the mistakes, and they have an opportunity to come back a much better and different football player by the time that they get to training camp. You got to allow your players to grow through this offseason. I think that's important at the quarterback position, but it's true everywhere. And you got to judge players for who they are today, not where they were yesterday. You got to give kids an opportunity to make that movement during the June and July process.
And just what did you think of pace of play today?
I thought our kids played efficient, just ball mechanics and getting their eyes back and being able to get lined up. I think we've come a long ways in 15 practices, got a long ways to go, but there's a lot of things to like. Our kids are accepting and hearing the details of what we want to do and how we want to do it.
Coach, how would you evaluate your secondary today and just how they adjusted to the pace of play that you guys have thrown at them throughout the entire practice and during the spring game today, and how that might help them in the future?
Yeah, I think they made some plays today. I thought they tackled pretty well in space today. So without going back and watching the tape, I thought there were a bunch of positives from individuals and collectively as a group. Defensively, they've grown in how to operate, the ability to communicate with the tempo that we play at. When we do see tempo, our guys will be ready to handle that. And I think there's a lot of positives for your defense, forcing them to reset their mind, get to the next play immediately, and how to operate. And they've continued to grow that way.
Last question, Trey Wallace.
Coach, when you along the defensive line, can you update the status of Darrell Middleton, please?
There were just a few guys inside of the program that weren't available today, but believe that those guys will be back with us here as we move forward.
Okay. And what did you think of their presence along the defensive line today and getting pressure?
I thought early they did some really good things getting pressure. Late, I felt like the line of scrimmage maybe tilted in advantage of the other side at times. We're thin at that position, so those guys got more plays on the defensive line than anybody on the football team. But that's a group that, during the course of a spring scrimmage, quarterback's not live, right? So it's hard to tell. Sometimes they have opportunities to make plays and are forced to pull off. But I thought collectively as a group, they played hard.
All right.